guys, again, you know me about that.
Yeah.
That's all, I get a little bit like
Yeah,
that,
you're
but yeah, and I also went to work at 3:30 this morning. Something wrong with that. I'll apologize.
All right,
So
Okay,
that's
there's
okay.
we're
We
gonna call,
understand.
we're gonna call the Accounting Finance Committee meeting to order at 5:35.
If you would, thank Mr. Miller and Ms.
We're gonna go ahead and start.
Have you already pressed the button? Okay.
Yeah, she's already
Philip's in
started.
here, he'll be in here in just a few
What
minutes.
about Dan?
Dan, you come on.
Do you wanna start with the
Philip
compensation?
said I can start.
Yes, Jennifer's gonna start.
The comp study, or,
I'm gonna start with the comp study.
I didn't know.
all right, we'll go ahead and start with that, so.
Go back in. We're still waiting on Amy.
So, we bid out a compensation study, and I called 4 places. I only got 2 responses. One from Gallagher Consulting. VML had recommended them. And then I contacted Baker Tilly, also known as Springstead. Gallagher Consulting came in at 23.5, looking at 40 positions, but they did not include a classification program to use for the future. Springstead, Baker Tilly did. They came in at 19.8 to do 40 positions. We've already taken this to Employment and Police, and I only included the Baker Tilly proposal because that's who they liked. But I wanted to go over with you guys the proposal. I propose to pay for it out of professional fees of each department because it really will cover across the board. We have two options. You can either do it that way or you can split it between general fund, bus, electric, and water and sewer. The bus would be half paid by the state. He tried to push it through to get it, his RTAP money, which would have been 100% of the bus. But at this time, I don't see an appropriation needed. It may go over a little bit, the bus professional fees, but I can take a look at that later on.
That is $20,000 to look at how someone gets paid, and then ultimately it's gonna end up costing us more, I can tell you that. It's great for employees, yes, and I'm not saying we're trying to undercut our employees, but, I mean, this is gonna be very costly.
But you also have to look at what we spent this year in raises as it was. You know,
Yeah.
what you, because you know how the mayor had asked for how much we had spent in raises. I mean, you're gonna spend money in giving raises, so this will give us a platform and a path forward.
Who do they actually look at and compare us to?
We can give them names. Like Philip, whenever he wanted to use Fort Pickett, we can give them names of our competition, and then they'll also go to their database. They have a,
Yeah, I think we can look at Alta Vista, we can look at small towns comparable size. But I can tell you, when people leave Blackstone, they go over to Pickett. You know, they go work for the Guard,
So,
they're
I
the
mean,
headquarters.
if that's the case, why can't we call Fort Pickett?
Okay.
I mean, and just not spend $20,000. I mean, to me, I just feel like we're, no offense, shitting away our money. I mean, it just seems like.
As is the case with when we do bond issues, you know, I can walk over to the bank and say, hey, guys, give me your best deal.
Yeah,
Well, if it
Will
goes
they give it
south-
to you?
Wait a minute, we didn't like the process.
yeah.
This codifies the process. And this sets back and says, our recommendations are the following. And if you remember when Roland come, it makes it a whole lot easier to put a bond deal.
Oh, yeah.
and it really gives a framework for budgeting, where we could look at, we've got 5 that are coming up on this, so these employees received this training, they're coming up, rather than Philip trying to figure out which department we're gonna look at this year, you know,
Can
seeing where we stand.
Can I read over this? We don't have, I mean, I don't want to go.
No, Employment and
'cause
Police.
I don't know what a compensation study is, so I'd rather read this.
Yeah, and
than
if you
this.
want a copy of the other proposal,
I think this is pretty detailed. This is plenty of information.
yeah, sure. And Employment and Police made a recommendation, but I wanted you guys to have it.
And I will tell you this, and I've got to step out to a meeting. We're working on Powell Street and getting the closing finished. We did talk to both firms on the phone. We did phone conversations with them. And Baker Tilly is the old Springstead, and they were kind of a bellwether public finance, public employees, searches, those kinds of things. So Baker Tilly not only was less expensive, but if we looked on qualifications too, that I believe, and I think Jennifer believes that our recommendation would be Baker Tilly.
Is there any way we could give them a position and say, hey, here's one position, show us what you actually give us?
I actually, for them, I actually did print off one of their studies they had conducted for another county, just to kind of see what do we get from it?
yeah, what
What do we
information do we
get from
really
it? And they propose a path forward, how far are you off on these positions? It'll go down the list, it'll even go over your vacation and comp time, your health insurance, and kind of give you a path forward. And then they have lifetime rights basically to this system. So if I plug in and, for instance, Jessica is gonna be doing this, this, and this, what is her title? You know, you plug in the responsibilities and it'll almost give you a framework for that position that we
I feel
don't
like
have.
once we give all that information, obviously it's public information, so every employee can go to it, and I'm not saying that we wanna underpay you.
Right.
But all of a sudden, everybody immediately is gonna go, this is what we want, because this is what we're worth, and I'm just like, ugh.
So do you wanna see that,
Look at 40 positions.
Yeah, but, yeah.
do you want to see that sample study
I
that
would
I
like
had
to,
reviewed,
yeah.
that they had done? So I'll email that to you guys.
And we'll read this and see. I mean, this.
Like I had saw the city of Richmond had recently done one and they were off on certain areas. And it's almost like a capital improvement plan though. You know, it's a big impact when you first get the study, but they propose it over several years, you know, chip away at it.
Just see, say Dan we do a study on his position, and it says that Pickett will pay this, Dominion will pay this,
Mm-hmm.
and that's automatically giving Dan the, oh, let
Is
me
it,
go
is
ahead.
it safe, Eric?
We're good.
All
That
right.
automatically says, oh, well, Dan can automatically go to Fort Pickett to get this pay and go to Dominion to get this pay. So it's kind of like enticing your employees to move
Well,
forward.
I think most employers are aware of what other localities are paying. It's about being, you know, competitive. It's about retaining
Yeah.
good employees. It's about.
I think I'd feel better if I saw that. Exactly.
And you know, it's about every position, you know, that comes up. If so, okay, they want to leave, I got to call around different finance directors. We would have this framework already in
That would
place.
save your time too.
And say,
so.
okay, you just got a raise a few years ago, you're set according to our policy. We'll have a policy in place for every fiscal year we'll be able to look at. We've got 10 employees this year that are up for, they've accomplished these goals, they've accomplished this training.
I see they're based out of Minnesota, and they got 2 people in Mechanicsville, but I hope they realize small town Blackstone's a lot different though than.
They do, they know,
All right, we'll email that to us,
I will.
and then we'll put this on the next account finance.
well, a recommendation is going Monday from Employment and Police.
Okay.
But if you wanna, I mean, if you wanna table it or whatever you wanna do,
I
that's
just
fine.
think it's a big, to be in 3 days to, but I mean, that's fine, we can talk about it at full council, that's fine.
Okay.
All right, and then elimination of pink slip delivery.
Right. So, we would like to do away with the actual delivery of pink slip. So I'd made like a bullet point here for y'all where it says elimination of pink slip delivery. Now that we've converted over to the 8.5 by 11 billing, I feel like, you know, we have so much more room to kind of spell it out to customers, like when are your penalties added, when are your late fees added. We figured approximately 13 hours it takes for Brenda and I. We generate, we review the list, we sort them, we mail them, and that is not included the hours that the guys have to go out. And there's 6 guys, 3 groups of 2. Is that right, Dan? Yeah. They go out in groups of 2 and deliver those. We do have customers that refuse, and we have to mail them to them. And we also have disgruntled customers that will sometimes throw them back at our street department.
What's our
electrical
average
department.
each month is what,
We-
325 to 340, something like that?
Right.
It's a lot of walking.
Yeah. And also,
Notices
we've
things.
heard from customers saying, you know, they don't always stay secure to their door, or they'll find it down the street, or
Yeah.
depending on the weather, you know, and there's a privacy concern there too for them as well.
Because you can ride down the street, and if I've got a pink slip on my door, you can go,
Oh,
they haven't
Eric
paid
got a
their
pink
bill.
slip. Exactly. So I think what we'd like to do, we'd like to keep, you know, the bills are due the last business day of the month. We'd like to keep that 5% penalty added the following business day. A $12.50 service fee would still be added on the 5th. I spoke with Jennifer Daniel, and we spoke about doing a code red every month, just like a mass code red, not just necessarily to the ones that are getting pink slips, but just informing them. I think I have a sample of kind of what we were talking about.
How many
Well, we want
how
to,
many people are actually on code red would be my,
right.
that are getting the
Now,
pink slips?
what I did, I put together a kind of like a register form just to inform people to register, and I'm planning on inserting that into our bills, you know, I don't know,
Gotcha.
a couple months or however long you think it's a good idea, you know, just to make sure everybody's signed up. But we thought if she would, you know, put together that call on, say, the 2nd or 3rd of the month, reminding people that, you know, your bills are due, and I'll read you the statement that we kind of came up with. It would say, like, attention customers, if you have not paid your July bill, please do so by 5 p.m. on the 4th, or deposit your payment in our Dropbox by 8 a.m. on the 5th. Customers who have not made these payments by these dates will receive a service fee of $12.50 added to their account. Service fees are added to accounts that remain delinquent after the due date on the 5th of the following month. If you would like to obtain a copy of your delinquent bill, please contact the Town of Blackstone Utility Department Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So it's kind of like a reminder without having to, you know, physically go out and deliver those
And I didn't print it off,
slips.
but you guys said we're the only ones in what.
We are the only, yeah. So I did
Well,
like
that's what I was
a,
about to say though, I mean, technically, do we even need to do, I mean, cause I'm not gonna wanna hear that every month. Should we
They're
even
not
do
gonna
that?
do it for 3 months, like to put people on notice.
Oh.
right, to kind of make them
Because it's gonna
aware
be
that
on the
that's,
bill now.
Gotcha,
It's
because I
gonna
mean,
say-
we really
Like
shouldn't
Southside
have to do
Electric
that.
Yeah,
has it
right,
on the
I mean,
right. So I put in, yeah, so we put in a sample bill from Bright in there. They enlarged the penalty, you know, in the late fee schedule there for us on the left-hand side. It was smaller than that, so I feel like it's broken down for them. They know, you know, when these fees are gonna be added. So,
I
I
think
mean,
the code red is just to,
yeah,
just like the utility outage number, we just kind of have to let the public know, you're
Right.
not gonna get a pink slip anymore, so don't get surprised when you
Right.
get cut off.
right.
Alright, so it's due by the last,
The bill is
Business day.
due by the last business day of the month.
and then pink slips go out when?
The pink slips go out on the 5th.
Okay.
And then we disconnect for those pink slips on the 15th, usually depending on what day it falls on.
They've got 10 days from the day
Right.
the pink slip to pay,
Yeah.
and then
Right.
disconnect.
So the 5th on Saturday, go out there, we're not gonna deliver the bill Monday.
Right.
So,
And then they
Right.
have 10.
10 days from that day, yeah.
So I think the code red is, like I said, gonna be for about 3 months.
Right. And we also have the customer messages at the top of the bill as well. Just, we can put something in there to kind of inform them that they'll no longer be receiving those. I did a comparison to some of the other, I have it, okay, that's okay. Well, I don't know if y'all want to see it, I can email it to you if you like. I talked to Town of Victoria, Town of Crew, Town of Cambridge, and I also spoke with representatives from Southside Electric and Dominion to kind of see what their,
Disconnect policy.
right, what their disconnect policies are, and compared to everyone else, we're a little bit on the low side, but, I mean, none of them have a pink slip delivery, and even Southside and Dominion, you don't get a delinquent notice mailed to you even.
Turned off.
You just know when your bill is due, so.
They didn't have anything in their billing cycle that either was like a big, you know, red area saying, you know.
Yeah,
these
Southside
things.
Electric will do, if you're a month behind,
Mhm.
it'll say disconnect
Right.
notice on your actual bill. Like if you
Right.
don't pay this one,
Yeah.
you're getting, so.
I'm just saying from a standpoint of like, when I look at this,
Yeah.
is there anything that jumps out at me and goes, hey, that's, you know, as if that was red or,
The only way we can do color from that is like outsourcing it. like
or if
we
it was
have.
just bolded, just bold box or something, so that at least you go, oh. that's
You might be able to
something I'll
ask Bright if they
look at.
can kind of do some, and do like urgent bolded,
Mhm.
but I know we can't do the
Yeah.
color unfortunately unless we outsource it.
Right.
But, yeah, like he said, just something. to
Yep.
Yeah,
draw
just
their
something to
eyes.
draw their eyes to it, to that, it's not just, oh.
So it can save almost $23,000 a year in just labor.
Right. And we still, you know, if they need a copy of their bill, now that we have them on PDF, if they come in and want a copy, we can print it off just like that.
That pays for the compensation stuff.
Yeah, but then what comes after that?
So I feel like I know Dan and the guys, you know, they have work that's probably more important than delivery of pink slip. Right.
Something that morning, somebody run into after lunch.
And you need two people when you're doing that. I mean, it can be hostile, so
Right.
you need two people.
Yeah.
So your whole crew
Yep.
stops that day.
And it usually takes them a day, but it takes Brenda and I probably a couple days between, you know, mailing the ones that are out of town, mailing the businesses, and then we mail the ones that the people refuse, and so you have like a 2 day, a day and a half.
Still run the pink slips if they
We-
call in and request a physical.
We would not
copy.
run a pink slip, I
You just
spoke,
run on their bill again.
right, Nottaway County and HELP and STEPS, they wanna see a copy of the bill that is delinquent, and they like to see that breakdown of EL and the CT and the FA.
think they need that physical.
But they
pink
don't.
slip
They
to get
don't.
the help from
Right.
social
But
services.
they
Well,
don't.
You call.
Is there a way, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate, is there a way to minimize the office work if we were to just print a list out and say, here guys, just go put a generic slip on somebody's door? And I'm just saying this because I'm gonna play devil's advocate. They're gonna say, oh, well, the pink slip fee is $12.50, so you're making $54,000 a year, but you're only spending technically $22,000. So you're still making money. So is there a way to reduce the office hours by just printing a list off and say, this is who you go to, without putting information on it?
We would still have to generate, we still do
Report and-
several deposits that day, we still have to generate a report, and then you still would have to print, it would just
I mean,
cut
I'm all
down
for
on how
eliminating
many
them. I
they
think it's
have
just-
to,
I think
yeah.
in today's time, people just need to take its responsibility. I
Right.
mean, you've got an electric bill to pay, you need to pay it. But I know what's gonna be asked, so.
Right.
I think you wanna get out of delivery.
Right.
Hand
The
delivery.
delivery of the, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're willing to do anything as far as, like
I
you
don't-
said, printing off the bill again, if they wanna give us their email address, we'll scan and email, we'll do any type of notification, but.
And we do that now.
Print them off, and then y'all gotta sit there and go through each one. after
We
you
have
print
to,
it off,
right.
Make sure it's correct.
Yep.
Take some out.
So we're gonna cut that out.
Right.
Yeah, we're not gonna print them at all. We're just gonna have that list, and we're gonna go through that still, though, to make sure if somebody owes 50 cents or $10 or something, some lot less than.
Correct.
that,
If it
we're
was
not gonna
a
send them
check error or
$12.50.
something like that.
Right.
Yeah, we're not gonna charge them $12.50 if they just owe.
And we do that now, we go, Brenda goes through the list and, you know.
I'm just,
And
that's,
what's the reconnect fee for Southside Electric?
Southside Electric's reconnect.
So if you get cut off,
If you get cut off, it's a $30 reconnect, but you not only have to pay your past due, you have to pay your current, you have to pay to a zero balance, and then you have a $30
so you guys,
reconnect.
in order to get cut back on.
We're 12.
yeah,
We just pay the past due and a $12.50, yep. Victoria is $20 reconnect, Crew $25, Cambridge $30,
Do they
South,
have to pay the pass through?
past due and current for Victoria, past due and current for Crew, just the past due for Cambridge, past due, current, and all additional fees. Also, for Southside Electric and Dominion, you have to pay an additional deposit if you're disconnected. So whereas, again,
Yeah,
like
on
on
top
top
of
of
the
what you
300.
already have, yeah. So,
One thing to point, those little towns don't have electric, so
correct.
Right.
bills are much larger in
Right.
Blackstone, because they're just water and sewer like
Right.
Victoria. Cambridge.
and that, then some of them charge a higher penalty, but they don't, their bills aren't as large as ours either, so.
I was telling them, how can we present, I'm all for, it's monotonous, it's just,
Yeah, and it's an archaic.
but
way
how
of-
do you, when you look at the numbers, how do you tell people, all right, we'll save $23,000 a year, but you've got a pink slip fee that's making you $54,000
Oh,
a year.
no, so we all understand, our proposal does not include eliminating the $12.
Correct, so how do you
Justify
sell
it?
that?
Well, we talked about that a little bit in my office one day, all right, we all understand, how do we sell this thing? What are we doing to earn $12.50? I do think a notice needs to be sent out, you guys maybe weren't talking about it, understand in the other room, some sort of a code red or a digital messaging, okay? If you wanna receive notice from the town, you gotta provide us a way to contact you, whether it's by code red or it's another form or something, I don't know, I'm not that smart with the computer, but a way to notify the folks, but I like to do it digitally instead of them having to go out and physically do it. So we still have to prepare the list, we still have to do all.
And keep
The
in
only thing we're
mind,
not doing is manually carrying the pink slip out the house.
right, keep in mind, some of the other localities, they don't call it a service fee, it's just an additional late fee. You get the penalty, you get the late fee, and then you're disconnected.
It's
and
kind
you
of
have
like
to
an
pay
insurance
that.
policy because, yeah, most people will probably pay the disconnect or the late fee plus the pink slip fee or whatever. But it's also an insurance policy to help go towards those that didn't pay. I mean, you could figure it like that too. I mean, that will not pay and you're just going to get stuck with that electric bill.
We've been doing collections, and when we're talking about it, and Allison does a lot of collections, and ERMs, and all these other treasurer's liens and everything. We've collected about $80,000 in 2 years of delinquent accounts. Some of them old, some of them not so old. But to tell you the truth, I was really shocked because she gave me a sheet the other day, and if you remember, I first came to you and said it was $425,000 of delinquent accounts. Now remember, we've gotten 80 off, and I think we abated about 30, and we're at $421,000. That's how many delinquent accounts we accrued during the course of a year. Okay. And she's only been doing it since 2018. So in a 12-month approximate calendar that we've been working on it, or she's been working on it, we really haven't made a dent because even with the write-offs
You're going
and the
to keep getting
collections,
new.
we get all the new ones.
Or
And
stuff like that, instead of paying the past due and the current, they'll pay the past due and then like,
Well, and the other,
good time too.
I mean, if you wanna make an argument, well, you're getting rich off of us paying our
Well,
late
you
fees.
know we're
Well, don't
here.
be late.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there are consequences to
Right.
your actions,
Well, I
you
could
know?
also do a breakdown for you. We've incurred higher costs going to the 8.5 by 11, postage, sorting. We had, I could sit there and I could probably
Yeah.
justify over a year. I mean, our postage has gone up $400 a month just about. It used to be around 600. We're paying about $989 now. Doing the 8.5 by 11, plus we had to get the customized
We had the folding and
envelopes,
inserting
the
machine.
folding machine. So I could really justify to you probably half of that.
Out of those, on here it says average pink slips 360. Out of those 360, how many are frequent flyers? How many each month?
There's pretty much the same of them.
So
Same.
how can we not, I like what Philip said on one thing, how can we not pick those on the code red? And that way it's a friendly reminder, instead of having to go out and hand deliver it and write notes and stuff. How can we not just send a message directly to those 360? If most of them are the same each month, because that way then y'all in the office don't have to be, oh, well, we need to take this one off the list and do this one and this one and that one.
Well, so you're saying you don't just do the 360?
Only do the 360.
No,
Only
only
do-
do the 360.
I know Code Red can't do it,
Yeah,
she would have to
right.
customize it. again.
Right, and a lot of the numbers that we have in our system are not,
Valid.
like, we have people that get a new phone every month.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, we don't,
Yeah, I mean, but I completely agree with Tom, and I think we should do it
Mm-hmm.
because responsibility. I mean,
right.
if we keep handing out, eventually, I mean, that's the problem with
And we
today's
didn't
society.
have, on the postcard, we didn't have the room to kind of spell it out for them.
Yeah,
Whereas now we
it's
have
all
that,
just
that
known
whole.
as general practice.
Right, now we have that section, and you're still gonna have the same ones that get the pink slip now that say, okay, well, it says I have until the 15th. They don't look at the pink slip and say, oh my gosh, I got my pink slip, I have to go pay my bill.
Yeah,
They look at it like, oh, well, I still got 10 more days, and they wait until that very last
Like 4.
day
Yeah.
to do it.
or when they see the town guys coming,
Or
then
when
they
they-
run to
Right,
town hall.
right. So,
No, I'm all for it. I mean, I think it's,
Do you wanna make a motion?
I'm just trying to prep us for what we will hear when we do
Yeah.
present it to a full council. So, I move that we present the pink slip less, eliminating of
okay.
pink slip delivery, and then making changes to the 8.5 by 11, the new billing, to make sure that it's known and everybody sees when things are actually due. So,
When do you think it'll be effective? Like, you'd have to put notice on your bill and then when is this gonna be effective?
I would
Or
say-
they're gonna physically stop doing the delivery.
and I'd be fine too if we put on there, let's say, this is August. Let's do 2 more months of pink slips and write it on here that in 2 months, pink slips will be eliminated. And then at that point, you follow the guidelines that are on here, on the date.
We've already handed out pink slips for August.
Yep.
So you're saying
September and October. And then you start in November,
November won't go.
no pink slips.
Now, would you
Give
want,
somebody, give people time.
Yeah.
And that way, and it would be nice actually if we, on the pink slips that are sent, can we get a stamp made that just says, this is your last, you've got, you know, as of November, you will receive no more pink slips.
Yeah, probably.
Cause, and, I mean, I don't want y'all to handwrite it. It's a stamp, you can get a stamp for $12 or whatever made and just stamp it on there.
And there'll be people who say, I didn't get a pink slip.
Correct, that's why I
Not to cut me
said,
off, I mean, we'll still get that, but if you give them a little lead time, yeah.
Are
yeah.
y'all still talking about doing a code red for a little while too?
Yeah.
I think for.
Yeah, we can still do that, but I think you need to hit those that are
frequent.
pink slips every month or whatever, and make sure that we say, hey, you've got 2 more months. As of November 1, you're not getting pink slips anymore. You just have to know that your bill's due by the 15th, or by the 1st, and then shut off by the 15th.
And Quill can do like any special stamps, so you could say like final pink slip notice
Yeah.
on the final, is that right?
Do you feel like they would look at that like, oh, this is my final notice, or this is
Yeah.
my final?
And
or
don't
kinda
put on there that
Okay.
this is the final notice. Just say that effective November 1,
Right.
no more pink slips will be delivered.
Right, right.
I mean,
We can
just,
put it on Facebook and put it on Code Red and.
yeah.
Did
Now,
you
it-
second that?
Yes.
Now, would you still like to include the code red registration in with the bills? Do you
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
okay?
No, I mean, outside of billing, we need, everybody needs to sign up. for
They
no
need that
matter what.
anyway, yeah, right,
Yeah.
right.
Put that in there.
Okay.
You good with that?
None, all those opposed, or all those in favor? Okay. Anything else? That's it. Meeting adjourned at 6 o'clock.
Button, John.
Something like that.